Hi, friends. Chris Hardy here. I am the Associate Pastor at West Lawn United Methodist Church. I want to say thank you for faithfully tuning in for this long series, two months of very rewarding and deeply engaging devotional videos, our series called Hymns of Faith. And today is the final installment. Monday we will be beginning a new series based upon the Sermon on the Mount. So I hope you tune in for those as well as Pastor Jeff and I dive into Jesus' teaching in the sermon of all sermons, the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus. But without further ado, today's last hymn is titled, I Am a Thief. I Am a Thief, written in 2016. And I imagine you are not familiar with it because I wrote it. I wrote this hymn while I was in seminary at Drew Theological School. In 2016, this was a part of my worship class, one of my assignments. We were instructed to pick a tune, a melody, and write our own hymn lyrics to it. And then not only write our own lyrics for it, we had to then perform it in front of the worship class. So as you can hear the background music being played right now, it is from In Christ Alone, which last devotional video 2 days ago, I told you that is one of my favorite hymns. So In Christ Alone has a rhythm or a beat of 8, meaning 8 syllables, and you can kind of count on your fingers and your thumbs how it goes. As you know, I'm not musically inclined, but that is what I went off of because I like the melody and I could sing it. And I can count to 8 and then pick a new line and start again. But interestingly enough, after I wrote this hymn, which you will hear the words here shortly, I won the worship award at graduation from Drew in my graduating class, in part because of this hymn. So for a guy that can't sing and did have to sing this with piano being played in the background in front of our worship class, it was a pretty neat achievement and something I am proud of. And it's even cooler, I'll say, because if you stick around here, Christopher Rogers, our organist, and our director of music, John Coakley, performed this hymn for us. And it's just a neat full circle thing that has come around. But without further ado, this hymn I wrote off of Christ's Passion, and specifically Luke, which is my favorite gospel. And this comes from the 23rd chapter, verses 32 and 43. 2 others, both criminals, were led out to be executed with him. When they came to a place called the Skull, they nailed him to the cross. And the criminals were also crucified, one on his right and one on his left. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. And the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. The crowd watched as the leader scoffed. He saved others, they said. Let him save himself if he really is God's Messiah, the chosen one. The soldiers mocked him too by offering him a drink of sour wine. They called out to him, If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself. A sign was fastened above him with these words, This is the King of the Jews. One of the criminals hanging beside him scoffed, So you're the Messiah, are you? Prove it by saving yourself, and us too while you're at it. But the other criminal protested, Don't you fear God even when you have been sentenced to die? We deserve to die for our crimes, but this man hasn't done anything wrong. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus replied, I assure you, today you will be with me in paradise. So the imagery of the 3 crosses on the hill, on Golgotha or the skull, Jesus crucified between 2 thieves, one on his right, one on his left. So much theology, I believe, is just packed in that image. So much that, as you can see here in this picture, and maybe you noticed when I wore it, this stole I had specially custom made with this image on it of the 3 crosses and, of course, the tomb, which adds even more theology and even more truth that Jesus died there, but also rose again and defeated death with the resurrection, and, of course, what we celebrate on Easter. But back to those 3 crosses. Jesus in the center, and I see on the right and the left. And that's our choice that we can either accept or reject Jesus. We see that in the narrative with the 2 thieves, the 2 criminals. One, even in his last moments, was repentant, and the other not. I also like this because even regardless of the terrible life that you have lived, straying away from God, being as sinful as sin can be, which is a hard truth for many of us to swallow and to accept, but that God even forgave a sinner like me, even forgives the worst of the worst. I like to use terrorists as an example, and maybe not the kind of terrorist that you're thinking today, but how about Paul? Paul was essentially a terrorist committing genocide for religious reasons against those who believed, and yet he was repentant, he turned his life around, and I am confident that he is in paradise with God today. But also, not just the thieves then, but seeing that opportunity between accepting and rejecting God and his grace and his sacrifice for us, but the ability that we don't have to be on that cross because of Jesus' sacrifice. So just so much theology in that, in this passage here from Jesus' passion between the two thieves, the mental imagery that pops into my mind, and just the total theology of God's grace offered to us here as a sinless man, God incarnate, fully human, fully divine, giving himself for us because he loves us that much. And I see myself as a thief. I hope you see yourself as a thief as well. Just which side of the cross are you on? Are you the one that's accepting or the one that is rejecting? Folks, please hang around. Maybe let me know what you think of this hymn. I know it's not going to win a Grammy, but I am pretty proud and that my friend and colleague John and Christopher both decided that they would perform this for us, for all of us to enjoy. So may God be with you until we meet again.
Oh.